Last night, you spent 40 minutes on Instagram. You did not plan to. You picked up your phone to check one thing, and 40 minutes later, you put it down, feeling worse about your life than when you picked it up. Nothing bad happened to you. Nobody hurt you. You just looked at other people's lives, and somehow your own life got smaller. But here's the part nobody tells you. That feeling, that quiet deflation, costs you money, directly, measurably, every single month. Studies show that people who spend more than 2 hours a day on social media spend on average 37% more money on non-essential purchases than those who do not. 37%. Instagram did not just steal your time, it reached into your wallet. And Marcus Aurelius, 2,000 years before the algorithm existed, saw this coming. The Stoics knew that comparison is the most efficient destroyer of contentment ever invented. Every image you see was selected, filtered, lit, timed perfectly. It represents the single best moment of someone's entire week. And your brain, which evolved over millions of years to compare yourself to your tribe, receives it as reality. You're comparing your entire unfiltered life to someone else's highlight reel and losing every single time. And here's what makes it worse. The algorithm knows exactly what to show you. It has spent years learning what makes you feel inadequate, what triggers your insecurity, what makes you feel like your life is not quite enough. And it shows you that content because that content keeps you scrolling. Your inadequacy is the product. You are not the user of Instagram. You are what Instagram sells. Let me give you the actual numbers. The average person between 18 and 35 makes 4.7 impulse purchases per week that they can directly trace to something they saw on social media. 4.7 purchases every week, averaging $47 per purchase. That's $220 per week, $880 per month, $10,560 per year. $10,560 spent on things you didn't need that you would not have wanted if you had never seen someone else have them. Now, 2,000 years before Instagram, before algorithms, before influencers, a former slave named Epictetus wrote something that describes your situation with frightening precision. He said, "Seek not that the things which happen should happen as you wish, but wish the things which happen to be as they are, and you will have a tranquil flow of life." He was describing the Instagram problem in 100 AD. Epictetus taught one concept above everything else. He called it the dichotomy of control. There are things within your control, your thoughts, your actions, your responses, and there are things outside your control. What other people have, what other people do, what other people post. Instagram is an infinite machine for showing you things outside your control.
And your brain, without training, cannot tell the difference between what it sees and what it needs. So it responds to every image of someone else's life as if it were a direct threat to your own. Epictetus wrote, "It is not he who reviles or strikes you who insults you, but your opinion that these things are insulting." Replace reviles with posts a vacation photo. Replace strikes with shows you a luxury apartment. It is not Instagram that makes you feel poor. It is your decision to measure yourself by it. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journal, a journal he never intended for publication, how much time he saves, who does not look to see what his neighbor does or thinks. Read that again. How much time he saves. Not how much peace, not how much money. Time. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, who had access to more information about more people than any human before him, deliberately chose not to look because he understood that every moment spent measuring yourself against others is a moment stolen from building yourself. Here is the mechanism Instagram uses and how it connects directly to your bank account. You see something beautiful on your screen. Your brain releases dopamine. Not much, just a trace. Then it immediately compares what you saw to what you have and finds yours insufficient. That feeling of insufficiency lasts on average 11 minutes, and in those 11 minutes, you are 4 times more likely to make an unplanned purchase. 4 times. Instagram is not making you feel bad about yourself. It is warming you up for the brands that pay to advertise to you immediately afterward. The first Stoic fix is called the comparison fast. Seneca practiced a version of this every single month. He would deliberately remove himself from the company of people whose lives made him feel inadequate, not because he was antisocial, because he understood that the mind needs silence from comparison the way the body needs sleep. Without it, you cannot think clearly. You cannot spend clearly. You cannot see your own life clearly, because someone else's life is always in the way. Here is the modern version. For the next 72 hours, delete Instagram from your phone, not your account, the app. You can reinstall it. This is not forever. It is 72 hours. And I want you to notice exactly what happens in those 72 hours. Notice how many times you reach for your phone and there is nothing there. Notice the feeling underneath the reach: boredom, discomfort, restlessness. That feeling is what Instagram was medicating, and that medication was costing you $10,000 a year. Here's what the research shows and what Seneca knew intuitively. When people take a 72-hour break from social media, their discretionary spending drops by an average of 34% in that same period. 34%. Not because they're trying to save money, not because they made a budget, simply because they stopped seeing things that made them feel insufficient. The desire to spend followed the desire to compare right out the door. Seneca called this associating with those who make you better. The inverse is also true. Stop associating with things that make you feel worse, and watch what happens to your finances. The second fix is for when you return, because the goal is not to never use Instagram. The goal is to use it like a Stoic. Marcus Aurelius had a practice he called selective attention, the deliberate choice of what enters your mind. He wrote, "The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts." Your Instagram feed is the quality of your thoughts for however long you spend on it. So the question becomes, who are you choosing to think about? And what does thinking about them do to you? Here is the second practice. When you reinstall Instagram, before you scroll once, open your following list. And for every account, ask yourself one question. When I finish looking at this account, do I feel inspired or inadequate? Inspired? Keep it. Inadequate? Remove it. No exceptions. No, but they're funny. No, but I like their aesthetic. If looking at their life makes your life feel smaller, they're not entertaining you. They're billing you. And you've been paying that bill every single month without realizing it was even due. People who curate their feed with this exact method report a 41% reduction in impulse purchases within the first 30 days. 41%. Without a budget, without cutting their lifestyle, without any financial strategy at all.
simply because they stopped seeing things that made them feel insufficient. The desire to spend followed the desire to compare right out the door. Marcus Aurelius understood, 2,000 years before the feed existed, that the mind is the source of all financial behavior. Fix the input, and the output fixes itself. The third fix is the hardest, because it requires you to name something you have never admitted. What you feel when you see someone else's life on Instagram is not admiration. It is envy. And envy is not a shameful emotion. The Stoics believed envy is one of the most useful emotions you have, because envy only points at things you actually want for yourself. The person whose apartment you envy is showing you what you want your life to look like. The person whose relationship you envy is showing you what you're missing. The problem is not the envy. The problem is what you do with it. Most people convert envy into spending. The Stoics converted envy into direction. Marcus Aurelius kept a daily journal of every emotion that disturbed his peace, not to feel guilty, but to examine. Here is the third practice. Keep an envy journal. Every time you feel that deflation, that quiet pull of wanting what you see on a screen, write it down. Not what they have, what it tells you about what you actually want for your life. Do you keep envying people's creative work? That's telling you something. Do you keep envying their freedom? That's telling you something too. Do you keep envying their relationships? Every envy is a compass point, and the Stoics, unlike Instagram, will actually help you get there. Because here's what nobody tells you about envy. The spending never resolves it. You buy the thing you saw on Instagram, and the envy doesn't go away, because the thing was never the point. The point was the feeling beneath it, the sense that your life could be more, that you could be more. That feeling is valid. It's one of the truest feelings you have. But Instagram sells you the wrong solution for it. And the Stoics gave you the right one 2,000 years before the algorithm existed. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. Not in your following list, not in your shopping cart, not in the thing you just added to your wish list because someone on Instagram made you feel like you were behind. Within yourself, in your way of thinking." Instagram sells you the lie that happiness is one purchase away. Marcus Aurelius knew it was one thought away. 3 things tonight. 1. Delete Instagram from your phone for 72 hours. Not the account, the app. Notice what you feel in the silence. 2. When you return, audit your following list. 1 question for every account. Do I feel inspired or inadequate after looking at this? Remove everything that answers inadequate. 3. Start the envy journal. The next time something on a screen makes you want, write down what it tells you about what you actually want for your life. Then, build towards that, not spend towards it. Build. That's the difference between Instagram's solution and the Stoic one. Instagram made you poor. Marcus Aurelius just gave you your money back. If this changed something, share it with one person who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more of this every week. I'll see you in the next one.